Hello, beautiful people. Hello, beautiful souls. I welcome you in my show, Chat with Monica. And today we are going to be talking about a very interesting topic because everybody can be either diving quite deep or thriving quite the opposite way. And that's what Rachel is going to share with us alongside with her journey. So let's wait for it. We are going to be back in a couple of minutes.
Everybody wants to be happy. Everyone wants to be loved. All of us wish to be healthy. Everyone wants to enjoy life.
Art changes the world. It inspires people to stand up and speak up and support.
Hello and welcome once more. Rachel, hello.
Hello, thank you so much for having me here. I'm really looking forward to this next period of time with you.
Brilliant. I am looking forward to it as well, what we are going to create and share with our viewers today, because I know you've been through some changes lately. And I know sort of 3 years ago we had an interview, and obviously 3 years is a long time, and so many things can change in our lives. And I thought this topic, diving or thriving, is so spot on now, especially with everything that's happening, that everybody has to go in. So I can't wait to hear your story. So please start by sharing what was going on. You can start like those 3 years back or go a bit backwards even. I will leave it up to you. Just share how the journey actually evolved for you, that you are helping other people to thrive.
I love this question, love this topic, and I'm so excited about where this conversation is going to go. And I was just saying to you before we obviously came live that I can't believe it's 3 years ago that we first had that conversation. And when I reflect back just in this moment, so much has happened to where I'm at right now. So when we spoke 3 years ago, Monica, I was just back from Australia. And I'd obviously recently stepped into the coaching space. I'd been studying quantum coaching out in Australia. And had just come out of quite a messy breakup as well, and had returned to the UK. So I'd had do you remember? And it had been a really,
I do, yeah.
It had been a really traumatic time in my life. My partner back then had been a completely different person than what I had first known him to be. I experienced one of the most challenging points in my life just before we spoke. With the relationship turning abusive as well. And I can't remember if we spoke in detail about that, but I was in a real challenged place. And I remember us having the interview, and I was renting a room from somebody I knew in Edinburgh. And I remember I was sitting on my floor and we were doing the interview because I literally had like a bed in the room and that was it.
Yeah, you were. I remember it as well. Do you know what? It was like it happened yesterday, and it's just amazing to have you here again. So it's just brilliant.
Yeah, and I love this topic, and I just think it's so perfect. And I'm personally excited about the reflection that's going to come through this conversation. But for me, really, at that point in time, your topic of conversation today was what it was all about. You know, I'd been through this really traumatic experience with somebody that I had a lot of love for, and hadn't expected it to unfold in that way. It all happened in a country abroad, you know, over in Australia, away from my family and friends. And you know, my understanding of that situation as I've gone through my personal growth the last couple of years has really allowed me to see it from a different perspective. And I had opportunity there to dive or thrive. And I did go down a bit of a spiral, but I remember just before we'd spoken as well, making the decision that this was going to be the thing that absolutely made me. And it's been a journey since then with lots of challenges, hurdles, plenty of failures, lots of wins. But I made the decision to let it be the reason why I was going to thrive. And truly, I have gratitude for that situation as I look back now, because honestly, Monica, this last 3 years, now, you know, I've got quite a story before that from my childhood. And, you know, if that's comes up in this conversation, happy to share on that again. But for me, when I look back at that experience just before we spoke last time, I truly know it was the point in my life where I finally said, enough's enough. And I'm now going to truly own my power and truly step into the woman that I am, and own this space and own who I am, and do it with belief, certainty, conviction, and really own my worth and value. So one of the most challenging points in life, but so much gratitude for it, because it has aided me to thrive through that choice.
Yeah, I like that you mentioned actually the word I made a decision,
Yeah.
because we all have that power within ourselves to decide whether something's gonna break us and make us dive, or make us stronger and get us to thrive.
Yeah.
So I would like to know, how did you, because you said so many things that happened in your life, you know, so how did you actually overcome them?
So previously, when we spoke last time, I did give an insight into, I had experiences I call my beginning part to life colourful. I had quite a turbulent childhood. I had a lot of amazing times in my childhood. My mum and dad, I love them to pieces, and have plenty siblings. But I did have a colourful past. I had some childhood trauma, which led me to make interesting decisions as I stepped forward into my teens and adult years. I think we did touch on that a bit on the last interview. And you know, I really at one point in my life turned to partying and drinking and drugs and using things as escapism. So that was a huge part of my younger years, and I had a real journey with that. And then 5 years ago, and I shared this last time, 5 years ago, I had my breakthrough. Now Tony Robbins speaks about the breakthrough experience. And I remember the point it happened, and it felt like a switch had gone off of me. And, you know, the world was the same around me, but a whole universe had shifted in me. And that for me was the first real big decision I'd made in my life to change things up. So to answer the question, I really have utilized that power and process of decision, and through my personal growth, come to understand the power of it, and really knowing that, you know, in every challenge, we do have that opportunity. We allow it to overcome us, and we take a dive with it, or we allow it to be the reason that we're going to thrive, and we make that decision. And for us, it's a personal choice. So I love that point you picked up on there, because absolutely it's always starting with a decision. Now, some of the other decisions that I've made to aid me in my journey is working with coaches and mentors. And you're obviously in the coaching field. Like, I believe so much in this industry, so much so I've stepped into it myself. I believe so much so in this industry because in my own journey, it wasn't until I asked for help and I allowed other people to come in and influence me with their knowledge and their understanding that I really seen a shift in my growth. And, you know, on a new level, Monica, the last 12 months, that's gone to another level. I joined the Proctor Gallagher Institute, Bob Proctor's Institute. I started working with coaches in America, and I really, really took another quantum leap in my personal growth with how I was investing in my learning as well. And of course, that's rippled out into, you know, my growth and identity and experience in life. And probably the third, there's lots I could add, but the third thing I feel really pulled to add today is being surrounded by the right people. So being surrounded by people that make me feel the smallest person in the room, that force me and encourage me to level up and grow, that inspire me, support me, and love me. And this has come in the form of, yes, my coaches and mentors who hold me accountable, and don't take any of my BS when I'm trying to bring it, because I do still.
Yeah.
And surround myself with, positive influences. So over this last 18 months especially, I've really created a solid group of girlfriends that are on a similar journey as I am. They've got similar goals, and it's a real power circle. And then just as much as possible, putting myself in places that I feel uncomfortable, so that I can grow into that space as well.
Yeah, yeah. I like how you talk about the journey, because for everyone it's a journey. And I think one of the things that you said is really the key point to make, and that is to have the right people around you. Because if we are diving, really, if we are falling, if we feel down, then obviously there is something that's holding us there. But it's also down to the decision we made that we are going to allow it to happen to us.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to really mention here those people that actually are different, and they do see good in you, and they will help you to bring it out and make the most of it.
Yeah.
Is that how you would look at it as well?
100%. And it's like having, I see, I've done a lot of work on my understanding of relationships, especially after the experience I had, a few years ago. And throughout my life, I have been in a pattern of allowing negative influences in. And that's been a big part of my growth, especially around my own self-worth, self-identity, and how I value myself. I have had a habit and a pattern of allowing negative influences in that I've then put a lot of energy into, and it's really pulled me down. So through my awareness of myself, I've really grown to become super tuned into that, so I can identify the signs when that's happening. And I think what I've really discovered through that, there's things that I look for in the people I spend time with, and I need to feel supported, and I want to feel that love. I give a lot of love, and I want to feel that love. And that's really important. But I also think a huge part of love and being surrounded by people that genuinely have that genuine interest in your success is that it's with people that will hold you accountable as well. So it's the people that will call me out when I'm being down on myself. It's the people that will, call me out when I'm telling myself a BS story, or when I'm, giving into my paradigm, the belief systems I have that are no longer serving me, because they still come up. They come up now and again, they pop their head up. And as I'm growing, there's always more for all of us, as we're growing, there's always more for you to go through and sort through and release and surrender to step into that next level of you. And so that's a huge part of it as well, is them being able to call me out there and hold me accountable to my potential, for sure.
Yeah, I like that, because you are actually pointing out that you are a human,
Mm-hmm.
only a human as everybody else.
Yes.
So I know you are no better than me. I am not better than you.
Yes.
We are all unique,
Yeah.
and we all have the power to really decide which way we are going to go,
Yeah.
which people we are going to surround ourselves with, and what kind of journey we are going to actually take.
Yeah.
So I would really ask you a question. When people are down there, and diving deeper and deeper and deeper, it's not a nice feeling. We both know it.
Yeah.
But what would you say to them? Because, at that point when we kind of get a feeling, yeah, that something's not quite right, that we could feel better, because it's all about how we feel, right? It's about being happy and enjoying life. And if we are not really feeling that way, then something's wrong, right? In
Yeah.
my opinion, something is not working quite as it could be,
Yes.
right? Not should be, but could be. So it's for those people that are now ready to hear
Yeah.
what would you say to them to really get up and move the opposite way?
Yeah. And I think that I love that point you made, because it's the people that are ready to hear it, because if somebody isn't ready to hear it, if somebody isn't willing, and I think willing is the word to use here, willing to change something or step forward in a way that's going to help them grow and elevate into their next version, then we can never force that on them. But I will, and I love this question as well, because I've had such a journey with it. I can remember probably around the last time we spoke, I used to always want to, there was probably an element of me trying to fix things with people, and I just did it from a good place because I wanted to really help them. But what I've really realized on my journey, and in the coaching space as well, it's almost like planting the seeds with people and letting them know about the tools that are available. And I always make sure I ask permission before I jump in and give advice, because I it's in me. I'm a giver. I like to help people. It's really in me. But again, it's about having that awareness. Is the person, are they willing to hear this? Are they ready to hear it? Do they want to hear it? And so I've found, asking permission, like I've got this thing that might help you out. Is it okay I share it with you? So I've began to take that approach. And I think that's a really healthy way, where I'm respecting my boundaries, I'm respecting their boundaries, and they're respecting their boundaries. And that's something that's so important in relationships as well, is the boundaries, and really being respectful of them. And that we all work in a slightly different way and unique way, like you said. So I think that's really the first point, is just seeking people's permission. But and then, offering that advice with accountability. But again, this is such a huge topic, and I feel like there's so much we can go into here. But again, it's about who you're surrounding yourself with. So majority of the time, be surrounded by the people that are going to elevate, and you're going to elevate them, and you can have that open communication with, where you're growing together. And I feel so grateful that I have these people in my life now. I've worked for that and called them in and manifested them, and I have them in my life now. And we've created a bubble where we really are open to that. So I will always ask permission, but we're open to that genuine, loving support and advice. And I feel very grateful to have that. Now, of course, I have people in my life as well that haven't really stepped into the personal growth journey. So again, just going back to what I said, I do plant the seeds. I do let people know what's available. But what I think is most important for everybody listening to know is that truly the most beneficial thing you can do for everybody is focus on yourself, and focus on your own personal growth, and focus on continuing your leveling up, because in that you're inspiring people around you, in that you're shifting the energy field around you, which of course influences other people. You're healing, your family lines and your ancestral lines and all of that, which of course impacts on the wider communities. And if people aren't ready to listen, watching you grow and flourish and step more into who you are will give them permission in their own time to open up and grow and flourish. And Monica, the amount of people in the last couple of years, especially from back home where I grew up in the Shetland Islands in North Scotland, that have come forward in watching my journey and just communicated with me, that it's given them inspiration to grow. And I've got friends from high school in the last couple of years, and even in the last year, who we had a really different life back then, and now we're on a growth journey together, and they've stepped into the business space and they're coaching, and it's just beautiful things that I never thought would happen have happened, simply because I continued on my journey, and I helped to spark something in each person, and then they went on their journey, and now they're doing the same. So we all have that ability, and for everybody listening to this, just by you stepping forward more into yourself, I can guarantee over time you will ignite something in somebody else.
I love that how you said it. And we also have a question here from Natalia Ricciardi, but we're gonna come back to it a little bit later because I need to really grab the opportunity to actually mention that it's not only about business, but it's also about that family life that you were talking about. Because
Yeah,
obviously our family influences us throughout our whole life journey, and we pick that up, what they feed us with, they sort of seed those seeds inside us,
yeah,
there's nothing you can do about it. But when you decide, again, we are by that decision making time, that you are going to grow, that you are going to work on yourself and make your life a happy journey, everyone around you will notice,
yeah,
because that energy spreads like the sunshine,
it does.
and I feel that that's so beautiful to actually realize that it's not the journey on your own, but how many lives you can affect along the way. That's what really matters.
Exactly. And there's something I'd love to share with you here that I speak about quite a lot. Now, statistically, the average Joe, and when I say average Joe, what I mean is the average person in this world who has no inspiration to create impact or to create change. The average Joe will still impact and influence 10,000 people approx in the space of their lifetime. When you take into consideration family connections, friendships, business connections, career connections, random meetings that we all have at the bus stop or on the tube or in the shop. So it's like the average person's still going to influence, thousands of people in the space of the lifetime, because it's for us to realize that it doesn't just stop with that direct conversation, whether that's a positive or a negative connection or conversation. That connection, that energy, it spreads through the people they are in communication with and in connection with. So it's understanding truly the power that each of us hold within that. And so if you think about somebody like you, Monica, like me, like the other people that are watching here that are in the coaching space or the speaking space or are at home passionately bringing up a family in an influential way, your the amount of people that you're going to impact on over the course of a lifetime is exponential. Thinking about this channel here, your YouTube channel, the amount of people that is causing influence on. So it's just understanding truly our power as an individual in this world. When you think of all the seconds that go through a lifetime, all the moments that go through a lifetime, all of them connections and meetings, and how we spread our energy and our light, it really, really does matter. And I think it's just such a mind-blowing and beautiful realization when you start to look at the bigger picture of seriously how important each and every one of us are.
I love that. I love how you said it. And it's so, so true. It's very, very true. I think this is definitely worth thinking about how we live, because however we live, we influence others around us. So
Yeah,
why not make it worthwhile for everyone, not only for ourselves, but for everyone else around us?
yeah,
I would now put that question in that Natalie actually asked. She says, "Hi, ladies, great video. I have a question as I'm really interested in this kind of thing. In
yeah.
your opinions, why is it that we tend to let negativity in?"
That we let negativity in.
Yes.
Why do we let, that's a really good question. So I believe that a lot of the time it comes down to our sense of who we are. So our personal identity and our worth and how we value ourselves. Because, and I'll share a bit of my own journey just on this. I used to be surrounded with negativity. And when I say that, I mean negativity in my mind, negativity, my thoughts, in my vibration, in my heart. And that, of course, because it was so in me, I was manifesting it left, right, and center. You know a
Yes.
good bit about my story, Monica. I lived with mental health, depression, anxiety For a lot of years, I was suicidal. For a lot of my teens and 20s, I lived with suicidal thoughts. And I was in this real negative vibration that just rippled out into everything. And, you know, my life experiences around that point in time represented that. And I allowed a lot of negativity in with relationships, with how I allowed men to treat me, with how I allowed ladies to speak to me, you know, all of it, how I spoke to others, like all of it.
Yeah.
And so I really truly believe that this comes back to our personal identity. Now, our self identity is how we see ourselves. It's how we show up to the world. It's how we communicate with ourselves. It's who we represent in the world. And we are born to evolve, and we are born as part of nature. We're born to evolve. And the most profound thing has happened in my own journey. And, you know, I see it in people that I work with as well. Once the identity shifts and you create a different image of yourself that you begin to live to, well, so do your standards change. So does what you expect for yourself and from others change. And guess what happens? What you allow into your life changes because your standards shift. What once was for you and what you allowed no longer is an option. Now, you do that consciously, but on a universal perspective, as you shift your vibration, I look at the vibration almost like a rainbow. So we have lower vibrations, we have higher vibrations. When we're in a lower vibration, a lower frequency, when our thoughts, feelings, and actions represent a lower frequency, well, so too will our life experience and what we attract through the law of attraction, through the law of cause and effect, through the law of vibration. When we shift up into a higher frequency, into a higher vibration, the opportunities, people, resources, and experiences that are representative of that through our thoughts, feelings, and actions will be within our awareness and our life experience. And so the levels of negativity are completely different within these spaces. Now, that's not to say we won't have challenges at both places. Challenges are an important part of our growth and evolution. That is part of life. They will come to us. However, as we grow and shift and change our vibration, as we evolve as beings, how we deal with that will differ. And so how we respond rather than react will differ. And all of that, I know a long-winded answer, but all of that really does link into how we allow negativity or don't allow it into our life. And when we're faced with it, because, you know, accidents will happen, life events will happen, which may have a negative feeling, we respond in a different way. And through how we respond, again, that affects our experience, and our experience is represented in a different way.
Yes, yes. I think it's also worth mentioning those people around us because obviously it's part of that energy, it's part of what we put out. So if we put out the energy towards negative people, obviously they will serve us very happily with the negative thoughts
Yeah,
and whatever occasions, situations, whatever, and obviously that will come into our life. So it's again opening up to that negativity and letting it in, or opening up to a different level of focusing on that other aspect, which is positivity and that higher vibration, as you said,
yeah,
and then obviously that will come back in, well served, I would say.
yeah, absolutely. And it's just like, as well, and one thing that's really shifted for me the last few years, Monica, as well, is how I respond to challenges.
Mhm.
How I respond to challenges. And I was actually listening, I was delivering at an event earlier this week, and one of the speakers there, an amazing woman called Ellie, she spoke about, I thought it was brilliant. She spoke about it's scientifically proven that error is a required element of life.
Yeah.
So um,
It's beautiful. It's
it's,
really
and it,
beautifully
yeah,
said because we
yeah,
kind of tend to say something's wrong. Why is it happening? It can be true, and it's part of it, isn't it?
yeah. It's part of growth. We have to have them challenges to grow. We have to have them. If it was just a straight road, we wouldn't grow, we wouldn't evolve. We have to have them challenges. I always think of a rocket ship when it's going to the moon. It's constantly going off course. They're constantly having to refocus and readjust and put it back on course. And it's the same in the life journey. It's like we are born to, in a sense, like a rocket ship, constantly, consistently go off course, but it's how we grow. And bringing celebration in, celebrating. Now, when you're in it, sometimes it can feel challenging, of course, but the more you can start, and this has been a big shift in my consciousness, even the last, I'd say, 90 days or so since I been away and doing a bit of personal growth. It's that shift in perspective where when you can begin to see life almost from a third perspective, like you're looking on it from above rather than being in it, because it's so easy when the ego mind's in it and really emotionally connected to everything, which makes it more challenging when we can just take a step back and see it from an outside perspective and almost look in from like a bird's eye view in our life, and have that perspective where we're not as emotionally connected to the challenges that are presenting, being able to make decisions from that new perspective, and from a, I guess, higher point of view. It's like life becomes a lot easier, and you can see the challenges as a key part of the growth.
Yeah, it's very true that without the challenges, it would be far too easy and boring. There would be nothing really pushing you beyond that comfort zone that we can live in.
Yeah.
And I find it like if you can take something, some sort of event or any situation that made you feel uncomfortable, that's obviously exactly what needs to be in that life to test you, to really test your standards, to test your feelings, emotions, and how are you going to cope? I love that question. How are you going to cope? What are you going to do? Because again, we are back to that sort of decision making. You can either die or thrive, use that situation or event to make you move one or the other way.
Yeah.
And I think because, to be honest, when we talk about people, majority of the people are still following the rules and the standards that the government set up, and they watch news and they kind of feed their brains with that kind of um, information, and that obviously affects how they live their lives, and there's also a decision that they made. But then we can look at those other people that actually understand the truth, that what you focus on is going to come into your life. So if you focus on the journey as it is, and if you accept everything that's happening as it's happening, and you learn from it, then you are pushing through those fears, those doubts, those diving situations where you are going down because you don't want to be there, and you can consciously make a decision to actually go the opposite way.
Yeah, 100%. I love what you said. I love what you said there, and it's about that's it. It's consciously making a decision, and and just that share I did a second ago about seeing from a different perspective is all about living consciously and being conscious within that space and how you're perceiving life, what your perspective is on life. It's all perspective. It's all perspective, how we choose to see things. It all comes down to perspective. And, we have free will and choice within that space of how we want to see it and perceive it. But it all comes down to that. And through that, we will then feed into how we make decisions and who we are in the world. Again, going back to the point about personal identity, self-identity, having that conscious awareness of who you are. Now, as with anything, you can create that. And I actually think that's such an important part of it, is having clarity on, who you are and who you're creating that person to be as you go forward and evolve. But yeah, I love that point that you made.
Yeah, yeah. I think life is such an exciting journey that, we can really like do so much with it. And, since we spoke last time, obviously a lot of things changed in my life. Like I made a decision to go back to my country to check,
Yeah.
and I thought what I was going to do. So for 1 year, I was actually like looking around, kind of learning how it works here. And then I thought, okay, I can't just come back and fit in because that's not me anymore, right? 12 years of a difference, from living in the UK and then coming back. Obviously, that made me think. And then I realized, well, I went to learn something. I went to grow. And now is that question time where what am I going to do with it? Am I going to just throw it in the bin and leave it behind me? Or am I going to really use it and make the most of it to serve the world? That's why I also created these chats. And I believe that the power within us is so big that, as you said, if one person, based on their life journey and their life lessons, can touch 10,000 people, 10,000 souls and lives during their life journey, I think that's a beautiful achievement.
It's huge, and I know you're gonna impact on multiple times that over your journey. I've definitely set my intention for the same as well, and but yeah, even at that starting point of 10,000, it's huge, and I just think that I'm a full believer in each of us truly stepping into who we are. And we're born into society. All of us are born into society. We're conditioned from a very young age to be a certain way, and society has specific expectations on us, which I've stepped away from quite considerably,
Yeah,
and will continue to do so. So we are born into a challenging space where ultimately we're asked to fit into a box. Now, I didn't fit into that box in any shape or form. And I truly believe that's part of the reason why I did have so many challenges as a younger person, along with some other childhood traumatic events that happened. Um, but again, I have so much gratitude for it, because without them challenges, it wouldn't have shaped me with the understanding and the life experiences about who I am today. But I just know with certainty that it's for us to truly live fulfilled, happy, purposeful lives, then I truly believe it's so important for us all to step into our potential, and really who we are. And that can be a challenging space because, like I
yeah,
just mentioned ago, you have society's pressures. People have something to say, especially when you step more into who you are. And I know I've been through it, I'm sure you have as well. But it's
yeah,
like, again, that's part of the growth. And going back to the beginning of this conversation, one of the reasons why having the right people around you who are fully accepting, because I can guarantee being around people that are in the growth space, that are purpose driven and here for a big reason, will never talk down on your dreams. In fact, they will build it up. It's the people that are doing less than and not getting out there that might have something to say. But then the question is, are they where you want to be? And if the answer is no, which I can tell you without even knowing anybody, that the answer will be they're not where you want to be.
yeah.
Just take what they say with every pinch of salt, and be respectful of that opinion, but never feel you have to take that on board. Listen. I feel everyone just has to listen to their heart, tap more into their intuition, and continue to take them steps forward every day to really step into their potential and who they are.
Nice, very nicely said. I'd like to know actually if you can share with us that one thing probably that always helps you to get out of that rabbit hole, or let's say of that space where you feel like you just don't know which way to go. So what do you do?
So the one word is clarity. Clarity. everything begins with clarity, and every creation is born into clarity. And I just want to add here, there's a Pablo Picasso, the artist's one of his statements is that every creation must first begin with an act of destruction. And I just think that is so profound and so powerful and beautiful, and I remember it every time I'm faced with challenge. So that's one of the first things I think about when there's challenge going on around me, or something has made me feel a bit shaken or uncertain or in the rabbit hole. And then my absolute go-to is clarity. Now, I just want to, and something we've probably not spoken about before, but something that's become so obvious and such an important part of the step as well, is the allowing and the accepting of what that rabbit hole may represent, because it's something that a lot of people struggle with. I certainly did, was just sitting with what's going on. Now, take steps to move forward from there, but actually in the accepting and allowing of what the experience is, there's a lot of healing that takes place. And there's a lot of release, and that release is important. One of the things I didn't do for most of my life was sit with what was happening, sit with the emotion, and really allow it to be heard and go through that release process. So the quicker you can do that, and just sit with it and not run away from the emotion, not suppress it, not push it down or shut it off, or hold back the tears or or whatever you need to do to release that emotion. So that's my number one thing, I would say, is just allow it to be heard, allow that release to take place. And then the next step's clarity. And so, what is it that you want? What is it that you desire? And just go back to really simple questions like, if nothing was holding me back, I would. If there was nothing holding me back, what is it I really want? And just go to really simple questions and start to open up your mind to your potential and what it is that you really desire, because that's your truth speaking, whatever comes up. And then you can start to take them steps forward.
Yeah, nice. It's very, very true. I totally agree. Couldn't agree more. But as you spoke, another question popped into my head, and I think it's an important one to ask for everyone, because we carry a lot of baggage with us, a lot of rubbish. And sometimes, because of not necessarily a good sort of experiences, it's hard to let go.
Yeah.
How can we ease that process of letting go of something that doesn't serve us, when someone hurt us, when something didn't go, because that's exactly what it is. Things didn't go the way we expected or we wanted. Things went sort of wrong way for us, but it went exactly how it's meant to go. So how can we let go?
Yeah. So again, the first step, and really great question, and I'm glad we're speaking about this, and is the allowing and accepting. So it's just, really giving yourself space and time to identify what it is that's upsetting you. And you can do that through a journaling exercise. You can do that through a conversation or sitting in silence, but just actually giving yourself space and time. Now, I'll use my own story as an example here. I had childhood trauma that I had never dealt with. I just hid it down and I pushed it down and I kept it hidden because I thought I was protecting everybody from doing that. Even though it was eating me up inside, I thought that was the thing. And it took me like 2 years of counseling to be able to sit down with somebody and have a conversation, to be open about what I'd been through. My counselor for 2 years, and then the person I was having the conversation with. And so giving yourself that space and time just to allow it to be heard and allow yourself to sit with it and just be like, this is what happened, and I'm not good, like this is how I feel. Like, be honest with yourself. And sometimes this can be even joyful feelings. Like if we've been suppressed in our happiness, and that happened to me at one point. I didn't think I could be happy because I was labeled this like depressive,
Yeah.
I was told I was depressed and all this. And so me being happy at one point was like a real like no. So I realized I had a lot of like laughter suppressed, and when I've gone through my healing journey, at points I've just found myself in like hysterical laughter and releasing that emotion. So whatever the emotion is, whether it's deep sadness or hurt or shame or whatever it is, whatever feeling you're holding on to, just giving yourself space and time to allow it to be heard. And you can really just do a simple exercise like journaling, and asking yourself questions like, when did I start feeling this way? Is this showing up anywhere else in my life? Why am I feeling like this? And just begin to identify, because generally what's going on in one area of your life will ripple out into other areas. So asking yourself, where else is this showing up? And then doing some release work by having a conversation. Is there somebody you need to speak to, or is there somebody that you just want to be open with how you're feeling? Turning to meditation, doing things like breath work. I'm so passionate about breath work. It's literally been just profoundly transformative to me. Breath work, yoga, ways that you can move your body and start to release that energy that's built up in you, and keep doing it, and keep doing it, and releasing and releasing and releasing. And the more you can do that and just allow the emotions to come up, the more space you're going to create, which of course allows space for new to come in.
Yeah, very nicely explained. Yeah, I don't think I can add anything to it. You said it so nicely. Beautiful. So we really kind of wrapped it up all nicely, what people can do, what people can face, such as challenges, etc., and how they can really make a decision to actually thrive.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to ask you is if there was one most important advice for everyone living at this time, where we live, because I think it's an honor to be living at the same time, that we have that opportunity to share this, and get together and share that space, and share the words. So what would you say to everyone that gets the opportunity to see our chat so that they can remember and take something from this?
That's such a good question. One piece of advice: just be you, be you, because there's nobody else like you out there. And the more you can step into who you are, I really believe that a massive part of our life journey and why we're here is self-actualization, and really, learning to know who we are. And it can be so easy, especially with the incredible platforms that we have on technology, to be comparing and justifying ourselves and all this kind of stuff. Now, I am living with stories that go on in my head, and that, try parts of me that tried to keep me down. I was going through things today, but just keep stepping into what makes you feel a bit uncomfortable and moving forward, and know that there is sometimes that voice in our minds that tell us that we can't do something, or can't be something, or shouldn't do something, or blah blah blah. So just know that is the ego mind. But really, when you begin to listen to your core and your heart and that internal spirit that's in every single one of us, when we truly start to listen to that, you can't go wrong in life. You can't go wrong. And just be open and compassionate. If things don't work out, or you fall down, just have that love and compassion for yourself, but promise yourself that you will keep on getting up and stepping forward. And I really believe, just with the topic tonight, Monica, on dive or thrive, there is multiple times through life that this will be a choice that we all have to make. In fact, I think it probably happens at least once through my week every week, where I have to make like a big decision. So,
Yes.
we're no different. It's just that I'm not, like you said, I'm no different than you. You're no different than me. It's just we've chosen to keep moving forward through the challenges. Now, we may have fallen down and grazed our knee a few times, but just kept moving forward. So, yeah, that's it. Just keep stepping into you. Promise that you'll never give up. And, even when it feels like you're falling down and everything around you is crumbling, just know that the destruction, as Picasso said, know that the destruction's part of it. It's where the growth is, and just continue to keep moving forward step at a time, and following your heart and your spirit, and that internal being that's there in every single one of us.
Lovely. I've got just one more thing to say, Billy.
Yeah,
Life is definitely worth living. Choose to live it.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Rachel. I do hope you can join me in my group chat show. I will let you know when that is. And for the guys that watched us tonight, so keep watching, follow me on Facebook, follow Rachel, subscribe to my YouTube channel and her so that you can keep up with everything that we are doing, so that you can grow with us because we are not going to leave you just like that. You deserve it, just as we do.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too, Rachel. It was really nice having you, and I'm so pleased that we had the opportunity to share everything we shared because that's exactly how it's meant to be and how I wanted it because I wanted authentic. So, for everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for your comments. Of course, if you have any questions, throw them at us. We will be very happy to answer them. And I believe we can look forward to catching up with you again in my group chat show.
Thank you so much. So appreciate being here. I've loved this conversation. I have belief in every single one of you, even if I don't know you. I know you've got it in you. You're truly special, and never underestimate the part that you have to play here.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice evening, everyone, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye, Rachel.